Women footballers have been breaking shackles for a long time. In recent years, they have been breaking records too. 2023 saw the most successful Women's World Cup ever, with an estimated TV viewership of 2 billion, nearly double the 1.12 billion in 2019. But the presentation ceremony also saw Federation President of Champions Spain sexually assaulting a player. Clearly, there is a lot to be done. But the progress made in 2023 means that future generations are likely to remember this year as a turning point for women's football. The Australian women's soccer team, nicknamed the Matildas, exemplify the sea change the women's game has undergone in recent years. In the 2023 World Cup at home, they reached the semi-finals, ultimately claiming fourth spot. Their impressive performance sparked a wave of support and promoted the government to pledge 200 million Australian dollars to elevate women's sports facilities in the country. The Matildas became the heartbeat of Australian sports during the tournament. The Matildas matches shattered viewership records. The semi-final match against England became the most watched TV program in Australia, captivating 11.15 million viewers. The Seven Network delayed its news bulletin for the match, and even the Men's Australian Rules Football League screened it at the stadium. A remarkable shift in Australian soccer culture. There was once a time when women players had to create and hand out flyers to attract spectators. They even had to beg TV stations to telecast their matches.
What a day, the biggest ever crowd for any Euros tournament final. Well, such a lovely ball over the top here, and the run in behind for England is by turn. What a chip, what a goal!
The shift in the attitude towards women's football is visible even in England. There's a greater acceptance of and far more media coverage for the women's team. The investment in women's football in recent years has been rewarded rather fast. Yet, the journey has not been without setbacks. Women in England have played organised football for over 100 years. In the early years, they kept their game alive amid contempt from men and the media. During World War I, with men sent to the front, women flooded to the factories and factories started forming women's teams. By 1921, there were approximately 150 women's clubs, drawing large crowds notably at Goodison Park in Liverpool. The success of women's football, however, became its downfall when the Football Association was alarmed by its popularity, banned women matches from affiliated grounds for 50 years. Suzanne Rack wrote in A Woman's Game, The Rise, Fall and Rise Again of Women's Football. The Football Association and the political establishment were not blind to the growing popularity and success of women's football. The huge sums of money being raised were outside their jurisdiction. Worse still, that money was no longer being raised to support the war wounded, but was being channeled into political and working class causes, antithetical to the establishment. Despite women's persistence playing in alternative venues, the lack of official facilities sidelined the women's game, and it was overshadowed by men's football. Fast forward to 2018, and FIFA launched a game-changing women's football strategy. It has resulted in over 900 projects across 137 associations. Attendance and viewership are skyrocketing. The FIFA Women's Benchmarking Report 2023, the 2023 World Cup breaking viewership records mirrors a global trend. Nielsen's assessment of 2023 reveals a keen interest, especially among younger fans, in women's sports and their willingness to reward supportive brands and sponsors. Sarai Berman, FIFA Chief Women's Football Officer, said in August 2023, "This year we have felt a seismic shift in the way that people see the women's game. 2023 is about showing the world what it means to take the game beyond greatness, to put players on the pedestal where they belong, to fill the stadiums, smash records, break down barriers, and show every young girl and boy from every corner of the world that they can dream to make a living from football."
Bueno, yo por desgracia no he tenido referentes femeninos, solo masculinos y bueno, por eso digo que las niñas que vienen ahora en estas nuevas generaciones van a contar con la suerte de sí tener referentes femeninos. Y al final, pues sí, cuando consigues un éxito tan importante, pues te acuerdas no solo de la pequeña Olga que empezó a jugar en la tierra, sino también pues de todas esas personas que han sumado su granito de arena para ayudarte a ser campeona del mundo.
Yet, amid the triumphs, shadows loom. In the 2023 World Cup, 1 in 5 women players faced discriminatory or threatening messages on social media. Shockingly, they were 29% more likely to endure online abuse than their male counterparts. The fight for equality resonates on and off the field. The US women's national team had to sue for equal pay. They secured a $24 million settlement. England goalkeeper Mary Earps faced adversity when her replica jerseys were unavailable, prompting a public outcry and forcing Nike to make her shirts available for sale. The actions of the Spanish Football Federation president led to the #SayAcabo movement. Say Acabo translates "it's over." The movement became a platform for women in the country to speak about sexual harassment and everyday sexism and focused on preventing sexual violence by men in power. The outcomes of these recent fights made one thing clear: the women who raise their voices are more likely to find support from society, especially the younger generation, and therefore the powers that be can no longer ignore the voices of women. Countries which are investing in women's football are getting dividends fast. India too is keen to ride this wave. The All India Football Federation is expanding leagues and grassroots initiatives. M. Satyanarayanan, Acting Secretary General of the All India Football Federation, told The Week that the focus was on developing the entire women's football ecosystem in the country. Encouragingly, in recent years, Indian players have been getting more opportunities to play overseas. Goalkeeper Aditi Chauhan played in England. In 2020, Bala Devi, India's leading goal scorer, became the first Indian woman to score in a European league by netting for Glasgow Rangers women. In 2022, attacker Dangmei Grace won the league and cup in Uzbekistan. Forward Manisha Kalyan did the same in Cyprus. Manisha, the reigning AIFF Women's Player of the Year, also became the first Indian to play in Europe's premium club competition for women's teams, the UEFA Women's Champions League. Even amid such massive strides, there are big setbacks too. For example, India's best supported football club, the Kerala Blasters, temporarily halted their women's team this year to cope with the fine that the men's team got. They were widely criticized, and even their ever-loyal fans expressed disappointment, with the fan group Manyapada terming it a pathetic decision from the management. But despite the setbacks and challenges, the narrative of women's football is undergoing a transformative journey. As women continue to reshape the sport, the future looks promising. Football, once a male-dominated arena, is now a platform for equality, resilience, and inspiring stories. The game is changing, and women are not just players. They are architects of a new era. This is a triumphant rise of women's football.